Hi, I'm Eric Kaufmann. I want to talk about one of the 4 virtues in my book, The 4 Virtues of a Leader. Particularly, I want to address courage. Courage. So, I have a confession to make to you. I'm 6'5", which is tall, and I've had fear of heights my entire life, which sucks for a tall guy. When I was a kid, we drive across bridges or on these mountain passes, and bridges freaked me out. And the mountain passes, I literally would scoot over to the side of the car that was closer to the mountain and away from the chasm. So fear of heights was just something that I'm plagued with. I don't know where it comes from, and I don't really care. But when I was in my mid-20s, a friend of mine, a wise friend of mine, said, "Hey, you know how you cure fear of heights? Skydiving." Baloney, I'll tell you right now, but let me tell you how it worked. So I said, okay, I'll do whatever to get over this fear of heights. So I suited up, we took the class, we got on a plane. Long story short, it's freaking terrifying. And I did it. And I landed. And it did not budge my fear of heights one iota. If anyone tells that to you, let me tell you right now, that's a waste of freaking time. Don't do it. But this has nothing to do with the courage that I'm talking about from a leadership perspective in the workplace environment, right? Fear of heights, fear of snakes, fear of spiders, fear of the dark, fear of sharks, irrelevant. The fears that really plague us, the fears that really inhibit our ability to be effective as a leader, are the fear of really giving your all. It's the fear of expressing yourself in an unfettered way and really sharing what you believe. It's the fear of connecting with another person or a team or an idea. Those are the fears that hold us back. It's the social fears, it's the psychological fears. And I'll give more texture to what those are in a moment here, but Aristotle once said that courage is the first virtue, because without courage, all the others are not possible. So, what I want to do in the few minutes that we have here is talk about, well, where does fear come from? What are the real sort of fundamental fears that we're all plagued by? And is there something we can do about it? So, to lead, and I write in Leadership as a Hero's Journey in my previous book, and The 4 Virtues of a Leader, the book that has just come out. To lead is to leave the comfort zone, to leave the familiar. The comfort zone essentially has 3 rings, as it were. There's your comfort zone, there's your growth zone, there's the panic zone. Your comfort zone is where everything is habituated, known, and easy. The growth zone is where possibility, potential, growth, innovation, evolution, all the things that you want that you don't currently have. Personally, as a team, as an organization, in a relationship, spiritually, fundamentally everything that you want that you don't have is not in the comfort zone, it's in the growth zone. If you push too far, you go into the panic zone. Freaking out. Me jumping out of an airplane to overcome fear of heights was a panic zone thing and did nothing to fix it. So it's the courage to leave the comfort zone. And there's no such thing as being fearless. I mean, fear is biological, fear is psychological, fear is the inherent, but fear is the reason you're here. Wait a minute, what the hell does that mean? The reason we are alive is because our ancestors for millennia were tuned in to danger, avoided it, had children, and passed on their genes. The ones that were fearless don't exist. They were wiped out of the gene pool. Fearlessness is not really a possibility. Courage is a possibility. And courage, I define in a really simple way. My definition of courage is walking towards what you'd rather run away from. It's really not that complicated. Walking towards what you'd rather run away from. That's the definition of courage. It's not about being fearless. It's not about destroying something. It's not about completely overcoming it. It's about moving into what you'd rather run away from. And so the question is, where does fear come from? Besides the biology, besides the perception of danger, and again, we're not talking about skydiving or snakes or spiders or darkness. I'm talking about stuff at work that's holding you back. Well, interestingly, it comes from the things that actually motivate us. Fear is the dark side, the mirrored side of our motivators. So there are 4 universal drivers that move us forward. There's a drive for safety. Safety is the desire for survival. It's the avoidance of pain. It's the basic well-being that each and every one of us can relate to wanting to have. There's another driver. It's the driver for connection. Connection is a drive for affiliation, for love, for connection, for recognition, for participation, for being part of the tribe, part of the team, part of the community. This is so inherently strong that when we can, what's the greatest punishment that organizations impose on someone, right? In the church, you excommunicate, you push them out. In society, we put them in prisons in a way. Connection is very strong. Control, it's not just certain people that are control freaks. All of us want a certain sense of autonomy, ability to make our own decisions, to have our own power. And then the 4th driver is this driver for expression. The ability to bring forward our talents and wisdom and skills and to be seen, to be heard, to be known. It's our creativity and spirituality. So you're wondering, so what the heck does that have to do with fear? Well, the fears arise when these drivers can't really be met. So, specifically, when I can't have safety, what arises for me is a fear of suffering or pain. I don't want to be unsafe. I don't want to be in pain. And quite frankly, this is not that common in the workplace. In the workplace, in leadership, that's far less of an issue than the next 3. The connection part is, if I can't satisfy my sense of connection, what arises then is the fear of being unloved, the fear of rejection. Think about a time that you were in a meeting and you decided, you know what, I'm not going to say what I really want to say. I'm not going to share my opinion. I'm not going to really tell them what I believe because they're going to think I'm an idiot and they're going to reject me. The fear of rejection is palpable in the organization. Control, when we can't have control, the ability to make choices, power over our own life, that's a sense of powerlessness. And you know what arises from that? The fear of failure. Show me a person that doesn't relate to the fear of failure. I don't want to look powerless. I don't want to feel out of control. I don't want to not be able to make my own decisions and choices. And so it's failure that holds us back. And finally, the ability to express the desire to really be shown and known and seen and heard. If that is not fed and nurtured, if I feel like it's not happening for me, then I feel like my essential worth, my value, can't be on display. I'm worthless, and it's the fear of humiliation. So you're watching, you're listening, you're thinking, how many times have you held yourself back? How many times have you walked away, not towards, because you didn't want to be rejected, you didn't want to fail, you didn't want to be humiliated? What have you not done at work? What have you not said? What have you said? What have you done? Just to avoid rejection, avoid failure, avoid humiliation. That's the fear that I'm talking about. These are the fears that prevent us from speaking up, prevent us from connecting, prevent us from committing. And if you can't speak up, if you can't connect, and if you can't commit, you're not very effective as a leader, and it's a very stunted life. So the last thing I want to get into is, well, what do you do about this? Here are the fears. These are the fears we're dealing with. They're necessary because if you're going to leave the comfort zone and go into the growth zone, all of these will be activated. And if you don't leave the comfort zone and go into the growth zone, well, I don't know what kind of life that is. That's a stunted life, let alone what kind of leader you are. So, in brief, my approach to courage is, first of all, that you have to feel what you'd rather not feel. You know what fear feels like? You know that tightness in the gut or the butterflies, the constriction in the chest, the tightness in the neck, sweaty palms, increased heart rate, breathing. You know what that is, right? In a way, the reason we don't want to feel the fear is because it feels so, ugh. It is uncomfortable, it's unpalatable. We don't want it, we want to get away from it. So in effect, pausing to say, well, how do I actually feel? You see, when you pause and feel it, you've already started the courageous action because you didn't run away from it. You didn't run away from the discomfort. You walked towards it. So, first feel. That allows you to do the next thing, which is to face it. To face it is to name it, to call it what it is. I am really terrified that if I take on this project, I'm going to fail, I'm going to look like an idiot, and I'm not going to have promotion opportunity. Well, how does it feel? My stomach is tight, my shoulders are tight, my jaws are tight. That's one. Well, then I need to face it. What is it actually that's going on? I'm afraid of failure. That's feeling and facing. And the third part is that you are actually going to embrace it. To embrace it, not obliterate it, not get rid of it, not destroy it, not ignore it, but you're going to move 10%, 15%, 20% closer to what it is. To embrace is to say, what's the plan? What am I going to do? How do I remain in a forward motion in spite of my discomfort? And choose to walk towards what I'd rather run away from, because that's courage. And if you want any kind of accomplishment in leadership, in life, in love, courage is the first virtue that makes all the other ones possible. Good luck on the journey.